Well, hello there, kids. It's like you hear talk to you about here is like hello everyone. It's like for Coloring Book Cars Preschool, and basically it's like a prequel activity right here, and basically that from the activities which I've been working from the past it's like years at knowing from the Coloring Book Cars though that like from the sequels I've done, and as well as any other activities, and basically that I would do right here are some examples right here of like say for for Lightning McQueen, and knowing about that that yeah with Lightning McQueen as well as Mater, that the way I went and got them sketched right here, and thinking about that for like an activity that talks about it's like for the for the characters, and then as well as a few other smaller, like you got right here is the Cars character right here is like you have right there is don't know all their names, of course. Like yeah, it's like if anybody would probably think about if the for all the Cars characters, to where that there's probably maybe at least 53 or maybe 75 or maybe 100 or so from the movie, and thinking about I'm like yeah, that used quite a few of them. I think I probably used about maybe 13 of those in coloring activities, but you see right here is that I want to do right here is a number of examples right here of for the Cars character, and knowing about it's like for like the prequel though is basically that talking say for preschools that knowing about the character, to where it presents us to where that knowing like like a new idea that I came up with right here, to where I would actually sketch out this character, and usually that whenever I would start drawing, that I kept thinking of like yeah, that usually that I would look at a picture, like I said a number of times, you look at a picture just to get an idea for about what the character looks like. So in a lot of ways that yeah, that this was looks close enough to what Lightning McQueen will look like, and think about with Lightning McQueen that and you like aim for the best in cup it is, but on the other hand that you see right here is that yeah, right here is the car right here, and a lot of the artwork of course I've done since I've been busy in class 2 was working on is like for based on for like for Photoshop and along with illustration. So a lot of my artwork I know that I could probably show a lot more, but that like with this like with the sketch right here of like a coloring book that I can add right here is a little bit of silver gold on the top right here of the car as well. But basically for like Lightning McQueen is that knowing about most for for Pixar films is like if we would actually watch the movie and just thinking about that yeah, if it's at the whole purpose about the movie, to where that Lightning McQueen at one time who was lost, and then he was kind of warning exactly about how to be able to get his ride back to the race, and this one it's like from the second one it is, but and then right here I'm like, yeah, drawing these Cars characters that I'm just thinking about which one is Sally, which one is Mater, and then Doc, and as well as a few other Cars characters as well. But let's say I'll go ahead and draw here. I'm like a little Cars character. I'm like the way I went and drew these right here is if these were like little cars, and I went ahead and drew right here is that if this was right here as an example, and I'm sure most of us who've been in preschool is understanding knowing about the shapes right here. You got the rectangle along with the square, but I'll go and draw right here as like a little a scenery right here of like for Radiator Springs. And Radiator Springs, if most of us can remember, that it was like a place. It was like a town, I guess, if you want to call it like a town, and then there will be like a I don't know if it was a shop right here or something like that, but it was like a town to where that like whenever Lightning McQueen, I can go and draw Lightning McQueen at about right here, but if anybody wonders, I'm like yeah, that a lot of my freehand work that I would actually show, to where that I might do quite a bit by freehand, and thinking about that looking at no pictures that I would actually draw and kind of demonstrate to where how I can draw the character, to where that I would find a spot to where I would actually be able to draw the character, and then from there if I want to go ahead maybe add a little bit, a few details of the scene right here, if this if this right here was a road for Radiator Springs. I'm like, yeah, anybody like wondering that if I want to go ahead and maybe change the color as well, go ahead and maybe add a little bit of blue. I'm like, yeah, just add a little bit of blue right here, and maybe a little bit right here for like, there's like a tire shop at about right here. And but anyway, but knowing that with Lightning McQueen, I'm like, yeah, with Lightning McQueen, that I guess he would go ahead and add a little bit of blue right here. Well, I don't even know exactly about all the doors and windows exactly about that, for Lightning McQueen, if there's any doors on the left or right side or something like that. But anyway, but you got right there as an example right there of Lightning McQueen, and like a little car drawing right there, and then as well as go ahead and add a little bit of detail right here for like if this was like a gas station, and about right here. And if anybody wonders, I'm like, where are the pumps? If you like pull in there, like I can go ahead and use right here as the pencil, go ahead and draw the pumps at about right here, where to get the fuel, get the gas, and as well as that for like, for Radiator Springs. And then if I want to go ahead and maybe draw using a pen, I'm like, yeah, I guess I don't need to make it all red as well, but go ahead and draw like another Cars character at about right here. I really would not know, what characters these would be that I'm thinking that I'm like, yeah, if I want to go ahead and maybe try to draw Mater in there, or I'm like, yeah, that maybe one of those tractor vehicles. But anyway, about right here. And then if anybody wonders, I'm like, yeah, a gas station about right there, and there'll be a road at about right here. So yeah, that there'll be a small town about right here. And then from there, Lightning McQueen, and along right here's the Cars character right here. But anyway, just kind of get an idea that if we have like a little square right here, and if we want to go ahead and take the time to actually, draw, maybe draw like a little scene, picture right here to where just thinking about. I'm like, exactly where would you think that you'll begin? And then I usually looked at it right here as like a little, a little cross. It is that if for like, anywhere that you wanted to start, to where that if you want to start, from the left to the right, and then kind of work your way to where you would develop ideas, from there as well. But anyway, but talking about is like for the letters, such as A as an apple. A as an apple, and then E as in for, I think I is for Indian or something, but I'll just say for ABC, ABC, and B as A as for apple, and then and we can go ahead and maybe use B as in for bubble. I'm like, yeah, maybe by wonders, I'm like, for bubble. Or I don't know about boo boo. I'm like, anybody wonder that if anybody were thinking about that, yeah, B as for boo boo. I got a boo boo. But anybody wonder that I'm like, yeah, that for to knowing that that for any any cuts or scrapes or anything like that, more likely kids would more likely get to where that they're probably like, well, that they, some that say boo boo, and some that may say that that they got hooked, that they got hooked. But on the hand, that knowing about that, it's like for A, B, and then C, and some like, well, C as in cat. C as in cat. But I'll go ahead and be like, A as an apple. See here. Yeah, trying to write that in, and I'm like, well, I used the red for that, but I'm like, well, but anyway, but for apple, and then B is for bubble. I'm like, I guess B is for bubble, and then C, just say it's C as in car. It's like, yeah, convertible, like for convertible, but C as in car. But other than that, like talking about right here, knowing about it's like, for radiator springs, it's like you have right here is that the car's character along right here is like a truck right here. And knowing about that with this diesel truck, character right here, be right on the road, and then knowing about exactly about how he's driving, if he's going eastbound or westbound. But for knowing about that, you say with the car's characters, to where whenever I draw them, I keep thinking about yeah, exactly for which character is what. But then on the other hand, I'm like, well, I don't know if I just want to pick a name in general. It's like for any works of art that I come up with, is that yeah, that really that based on the actual sketches, say if it's going to be a coloring book, and just knowing about, I'm like, yeah, if anybody were to think about it for any Disney characters, to where that yeah, that it's something that more likely it could be their favorite movie, and then they may have a favorite character from the movie, and then they may recommend, hey, I'm like, well, ask them like to at least pick a character from the movie, other than making up all my own, whichever. But then on your hand, that I'm like, well, really, that I can only remember about maybe 5 of those characters, really. So it's like knowing between Doc and Sally, and then along with Mater, and I think Doc, if there's a character in the movie Cars by the name of a Tonkian or something like that, for Tonkian, Talkin Dilake or something like that, Talkin Dilake. But then on the other hand, that knowing about what these Cars characters, to where whenever you have them in these movies, and thinking about, I'm like, yeah, that these characters, and then knowing that that yeah, just like maybe like for Finding Nemo, that whenever you watch those, and then thinking about, really, I'm like, does a fire truck and does a fire engine, and then a police car or ambulance or a helicopter, those type of vehicles and characters, do they actually talk? But I can remember whenever I seen the movie, I'm sure most of us can remember too, that we seen these little fly characters, and I can remember that to where that these the fly characters, that they would look like something like this right here, that they would be like look like a car, and I'm like, yeah, they're supposed to be flies, but they are since the movie, I'm like, I don't know if that's the reason or not. Since the movie is it's pronounced Cars. It's pronounced Cars, so in a lot of ways that knowing about you're going to have a movie like that contains, like, you got cars right there, so it's like you have yeah, I'm like, yeah, there's going to be cars of flies, but then on your hand, that knowing about, I'm like, yeah, well, what about the clouds? I'm like, the clouds that I know of, the clouds that I know of were not the shape of a car, and as well as I guess anything that more likely is the shape of a car more likely represents a character, and with those characters, more likely that may not include the power tools, and maybe the shops or something like that, or maybe at the race or something like that. But then on the hand, the way I think about though is like with say with the Apple though, that knowing about, I'm like, yeah, there's going to be a particular Cars character, and thinking that yeah, that that they're going to be doing a number of things, and for most cars, like where they can actually fly, and then maybe go underwater, that type of stuff. But then knowing about besides space travel. But on here, the way I think about though is like you have right here is this character right about here. It's like with anything that's more related to like these tiny cars here. I'm like, I can go ahead and draw some more examples of more cars as well, using a pen right here. But at the time, I'm like, if anybody wonders that, I'm like, yeah, that they probably used the Cars taxi, the Cars the Cars Taxi, and then maybe a few of the other cars that characters as well. The ones that they say like yeah, that they are what you call one of them the tow truck, and then the other one it could be the fire marshal, or the other one could be the carpenter, or maybe the construction personnel or something like that. And then they're like yeah, for taxis, or if it's buses or anything like that. But at the time, I'm like wondering that, which I seen it a little bit from the second one, to where that I'm like, you got boats as well. So if anyone like wondering that, I'm like, yeah, for most Pixar films, if there's going to be between trains and planes, and along with boats, that any type of aircrafts or anything like that, is knowing about. I'm like, yeah, that that really, that I'm sure that there's going to be an idea for something new. But then on the other hand, I'm like, you have these characters, and thinking about yeah, whenever they come to life, does that really mean that yeah, that well, that that they whenever they make money, or if they like that they have a home, or they got a garage. But on the hand too, that knowing about really for like the type of oil that maybe Lightning McQueen more likely takes as well. But if anybody were to wonder that, I'm like, yeah, for going to be, in college, just like any other kids, it's like, for in preschool, that you may not have to worry about all the expenses as well. But for like, say, by the time you get into college, and then have yourself a car by then as well. And thinking about that with the type of expenses, responsibilities, and that type of stuff. But knowing about, it's like for most of the time with preschool though, is that knowing about any activities that involve any coloring or any type of that events like that, is just thinking about them like to get an idea for what we want to use as well, as to where that these cars right here, that with the Cars characters with Lightning McQueen, that knowing that I'm like yeah, if it's going to be in 3D, or maybe in Blu-ray, or say combo packs or anything like that. And just thinking about, I'm like, yeah, it's like for A as in apple, B as in bubble, and then as well as C as in car. But then like talking about, yeah, but what's number D? I'm like, number D would more likely be, it's like one of the worst grades, I think, in the grade book. So anybody while thinking about it, it's like yeah, D. If anybody were wondering that, I'm like, D, as, for D plus and a D minus, such as, you didn't do it. But, on the other hand, that, yeah, you didn't do the work, but let's just say on that, besides D as in dog, I'm like, yeah, for like, that, Doberman or something like that. But let's just say that on average that, I don't know if I want to use drill or not, but I'll just say on average that it would more likely see for A, B, and C as in car, and then number D would more likely be, it's like they'd say for it could be like, let's say, for dealership. So in a lot of ways, I'm like, yeah, for dealership, or it could be, for like I say, is for dog. But anyway, but say for for A, B, C, and along with D as in for dog. I'm like, anybody say, yeah, what does a dog car look like? I'm like, well, the dog car actually looks like something like this right here. You got the the dog, you got the right here is the dog inside the car, and knowing about, I'm like, yeah, you got the ears right here, and then you got the dog right here. Like knowing about it, that it'll be like any type of a Doberman or anything like that. Got the dog right there. And then you have right there, you got the car right here. Like, yeah, knowing you use a crayon as well. Put the dog right there. Like you for dog car. Like, but other than that, like talking about here, you got the dog car, and you're like wondering that. I'm like, really? I didn't know that the dogs can drive. Like, well, more likely that like you train a dog can ride around with you, more likely. But on the other hand, knowing about, I'm like, yeah, that it's like between go get the ball, or it's like a go get the mail or something like that. Like knowing about to train a dog to do about almost everything else except maybe do the laundry. And I'm sure, like, I don't need no dog to say all my clean socks or shoes or something like that. But anyway, but talking about right here of talking about with the dog, between dog and cat, and along with car. Right there is like talking about right here. That you have right there is for, like, say it's like for the coloring book in your cars. It's like preschool, doing a prequel coloring activity. It's like the dog paw more likely represents. It's like for for a dog that knowing that for the things that more likely a dog can do as well. But then on your hand, that thinking about like any type of cars that more likely that maybe a dog can drive as well. And I'm like knowing about, I'm like, really, I don't think it's really any type of joke really necessarily. But then on your hand, that knowing about really that for like a man's best friend is that knowing about if a dog can really color. It's like, and then as well as can a dog get the mail, and then on your hand that knowing about can a dog clean the windows or maybe check the tire pressure on the car. But on your hand, the way I think about though is between cats and dogs, and knowing about really about how well do they really get along, especially to where knowing about if one of them that meows and then the other one is going like But other than that, talk about right here. Right there is a cat right there. But then as well as yeah, like if for any television set that more likely maybe a dog and cat can more likely use to watch maybe a movie such as like say for Cars. Just thinking about I'm like yeah that for like anything that like talking about for for pets entertainment. Like say more likely would be like something maybe like say your project. Something that more likely they could project on top of the wall right here. That would actually show. It's like for all dogs go to heaven. But all dogs go to heaven, and then on your hand that right there is like you got right there is it's right there. But dog. Like and just enjoy the show and knowing about I'm like yeah that for any the show that more likely represents it's like for any new release of like we say if it's between 101 Dalmatians or if it's going to be something like that, but knowing about it's like for the entertainment about really about this kind of reminds me of like I said mentioned before about the magic coloring book to where that yeah that if you have about maybe 4 crayons right here and just thinking about that yeah have a lot of fun with it, and then it's like yeah that you're like well it's supposed to be to where that the colors appear on the picture automatically. But then the way I think about though I'm like yeah there are more likely those tie kits, but I'm sure they're expensive, but really is there everybody can buy them. But then I hand to that I'm like really it's like for what we call magic, to where something that happens before our eyes, and thinking about really one thing that more likely that could happen before our eyes is just thinking about it's like after you draw something and then it's like yeah for how well it goes together. But other than that, like I talk about here, let's say for the coloring books cars preschool, it's like coloring activity. It's like I say the prequel, it's like preschool color activity.